When you think of a shotgun in games, what do you think of? High power, lots of damage, but low range. So how is it possible that Enlisted managed to fuck this up so massively? Welcome back to Bad Weapons of Enlisted. In this video we'll be talking about the Winchester 1912 shotgun. So why is it so bad? Is there any uses for this weapon? And more importantly, should you even pick it? First, I want to put a small disclaimer in. This is the Winchester shotgun from Normandy, not the Winchester rifle from Moscow. The Winchester rifle, from what I've heard, is actually a very powerful weapon and one of the best in Moscow. So when I say Winchester, I am referring to the shotgun in Normandy that is bad and I put as the worst weapon in the game. I am not referring to the rifle. With that out of the way, let's start with the first, as always, a history on these weapons. The Model 12 was invented in 1912 and saw service in World War I, World War II, the Korean War and the Vietnam War. It was best well known as the trench gun due to its prominent use in World War I. It was actively considered a war crime to use one by the Germans. In World War I, the German army actively called it a war crime weapon, which was ironic given that they were using poison gas. It has earned the nickname of the trench gun and the perfect repeater since its inception in 1912. Over 2 million of these have actually been created, with production being run from 1912 to 1964. However, for some reason, this weapon is bad in Enlisted. The Model 12 is unlocked at level 16 in the American campaign tree in Normandy. Now, on paper, this weapon does actually look quite powerful. It can do a lot of damage, especially at close range, but the problem is, it's only restricted to assaulters. This is the main drawback of the Model 12. You can only use this on assaulters. The problem is, assaulters, especially in the late game for Americans, have some of the most powerful weapons such as the Thompson, Lancaster and Stem. And earlier than that, they had the M3A1, which is probably more powerful than the Model 12. Now, originally, this would be more of a risk-reward weapon, as in you could risk losing a backpack slot and use this for more powerful close-range combat, or you could risk losing long-range capabilities to have an incredible close-range capability. The problem is that the Winchester was nerfed alongside shotguns. It's more of a detriment, not just as a primary weapon, but as a secondary weapon to use these. So now, this weapon is hopeless at longer ranges. And even worse, it's not even good in close ranges anymore. I seriously do not know how they fucked up a shotgun this bad. I once was in point blank range with a guy who just got up. I fired him 4 times at point blank range with this thing, hit markers all the time, and he stayed up. I then was able to melee kill him. Like, come on. This thing is a literal pea shooter. This is a literal pea shooter. Also, to draw back to my previous point, you can only use these on assaulters. You can use this weapon, which is pretty much a secondary weapon, more or less, on a class that primarily uses short-range combat and excels in short-range combat. Now, throughout the series, I have been trashing weapons constantly by saying there's no real redeemable qualities with these weapons. However, with the Winchester, I think this weapon can actually be saved from being the worst weapon in Enlisted if there's a couple things done right. First, makes this be usable by all classes. Now, obviously, of course, classes like Bomber and Engineer have actual side weapons, which means that they can't use this weapon. But classes like Rifleman could excel with this weapon. You put this on a Sniper or a Rifleman and they actually have a close range option. Obviously, of course, there are close range options for these classes, but this means you can probably stop using them and use an M1 now, or a bolt action. And then when you're in closer ranges, pull out the Model 12 and start using it. Of course, this will have to go with the second buff, which I would say, increase the damage. Seriously. It's unusable this way. This is the only weapon in the game I will never ever use ever again. I will use the fucking A4, which I've said is bad, but not as bad as this. This thing, you can't get kills with this thing. This is the antithesis of a weapon hit so hard by the nerf hammer that it became unusable. I remember in Black Ops 2 when the hammer got nerfed badly, but with that, you could still use the weapon and still use it to decent effect. This, since it's nerfed, you can't use it at all. Even the radio packs, for example, have some more use than this. I will say, however, that this has to be changed. This weapon needs a change and a buff majorly. The problem is, with the unlocks, I was looking forward to most unlocks minus aircraft. Like I was thinking, oh, the Sherman, this is going to be amazing. Oh, this new tank squad. oh, this new assault squad, the Thompson, oh my god, I'm looking forward to this so much. But then when I got the Winchester, I was just like, I was looking forward to it, but then I used it and I'm like, this is so disappointing. No weapon I think is more disappointing than the Winchester. Like, how is this weapon so bad? I seriously don't get it. On paper, it's one of the best weapons in the game, but in practice, it's awful. Like, I don't get this at all. I'm gonna go on that was a small tangent, but it's genuinely bad. Like, I generally say that the reason why the US struggle so much when they're in the early game is because they have little in lieu of a good close range option. The M3A is bad. The M3A1 isn't the best. The M1 carbine is rubbish. The Garand works in a close range scenario, but its ammo is pretty poor. The Winchester is rubbish. The grenade launcher is pretty much the carbine just with a free kill gun attached to the end. And it's really only to the stem that the Americans actually gain a good close range weapon. Anyways, I'm going to call it here. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.